So really quick video here, just 5 quotation quick revision. This is about ambition in Macbeth. Okay, so really importantly, this concept of a fatal flaw, that'll be important for you if you're talking about him as a tragic hero or something like that. So a flaw is a weakness in a character. And Aristotle suggested any tragic hero, and that's a good person who falls from grace, has what he called hamartia, or a fatal flaw. So obviously for Macbeth, his fatal flaw is ambition. If he wasn't ambitious, he wouldn't let the witches or his wife manipulate him. He wouldn't do what he does to Duncan, to Banquo, and when he becomes king. It's that seed of ambition that's planted that creates his downfall. If it was never planted, he'd be a great person. Okay, there's a couple of questions there that you might pause and think about. Okay, so I've got some questions here. So I'm just going to go through and then we'll go through the answers in a second. Okay, so obviously the first one was noble Macbeth. Okay, the second one about ambition was that he feels as though it's vaulting. Okay, so the first quotation that we're thinking about with ambition is this idea of vaulting ambition. So Macbeth says this about himself and his own ambition at the end of Act 1. Okay, remember for me, this is a quotation of personification. Macbeth says that his ambition is doing something that only a person can do, and that is to vault. Remember for me that vaulting means to jump high over something so that it can't be caught. Okay, those of you who've done Gym Fest will know what vaulting means in the context of gym, or a pole vault, to kind of jump really high. He's suggestive that his ambition is jumping so high that he can no longer reach it. Okay, really importantly, what I've put underlined, this quotation implies that ambition is something that Macbeth can't control. He says this about himself, so he knows that his ambitions are uncontrollable, and he knows this in Act 1. This shows him as a tragic hero. He isn't unaware of his flaws. He sees the devastation that his flaws will create and will cause, but he just does it anyway. So vaulting ambition, said in soliloquy, that's our first key quotation. I think that the first time that we truly see ambition at play is when he says, "Stay, you imperfect speakers, tell me more," in Act 1, Scene 3. And it's when he first sees the witches. The witches are disappearing, and he says that to them. Okay, so what we see is that his ambition here, overpowers his morality. He knows that they are wrong. He knows that they're imperfect, but he demands or commands that they tell me more. Okay, tell me more suggests that he wants to listen to them. And I just want you to consider, even at this point, Macbeth isn't in charge. He isn't really being overly commanding. He's really desperate to hear what they say. So when he says, "Stay, you imperfect speakers," or "Stay, you bad speakers, tell me more," he knows that they're wrong, but he does it anyway. And I think that's the start of his ambition. After he's been named Thane Accorder, he thinks that he is going to be made Prince of Cumberland. He's going to be the next in line to the throne. And when Duncan makes Macbeth that, he suggests that when Duncan makes Malcolm that, he suggests that he's got black and deep desires. Okay, so Macbeth says this in Act 1, Scene 4. Now I want you to think about that noun, desires. Okay, desire is something that you really want. Okay, that you really kind of desperately need. Black and deep as adjectives imply a darkness to his thoughts. There's a sense that evil is brewing within his mind from this first point. Okay, he knows what he wants are bad things. If desires are deep, if they're deep within us, they can't go anywhere. Okay, and really importantly, what I want you to remember when he says he's got black and deep desires is Macbeth isn't a fool. Okay, he's not an idiot. He knows where his own flaws are. He knows what he wants are bad, but he continues anyway. As we move in, when he becomes king, even when he's king, he says, "Full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife." And that's in Act 3 of the text. When Macbeth says this, he's already killed Duncan. and he's thinking about what he needs to do next. So we know that scorpions are linked to poison. Okay, scorpions poison us. So there's therefore the understanding that his mind is becoming poisoned by the thoughts of killing. Shakespeare says that his mind is full of these scorpions. There's nowhere for him to hide, and evil's kind of slowly infecting him. Okay? And I want you to think about how Macbeth is the antithesis or the opposite of a holy king here. He's broken the natural order, so he acts in a totally unnatural way. Okay? So full scorpions in my mind, that idea that he's the opposite of golden Duncan. Something wicked this way comes in Act 1 scene, in Act 4 when he returns to the witches. Okay, remember we're thinking about ambition here. The witches use something rather than someone to describe him. Okay, they call him a thing. So basically, there's a suggestion that ambition has corrupted him and turned him into a thing and not a person. These witches see that he's now a child of the devil too. They describe him as being wicked. Nothing can save him from hell. And importantly, I want you to think about that question. If the witches are saying this, then how has ambition destroyed Macbeth? Also in Act 4, from different characters, it's described as devilish Macbeth and a tyrant. Okay, devilish and tyrant, two words that are really key to you. So typically kings were holy and divine. We were told earlier that Duncan had golden opinions, silver blood, and virtues that played like angels. Devilish Macbeth implies that his ambitions made him a total opposite. Okay, he was chosen by hell and the devil. And Shakespeare's warning here about what happens when we disrupt the natural order. Okay, remember he was writing Macbeth to warn his Jacobean contemporaries that regicide was something that would destroy. Just remember for me this word tyrant. It's somebody who rules by force or by fear. Okay, if we try and commit regicide, we'll substitute a holy king and we'll replace it with a hellish one. That was Shakespeare's message to those people who supported the gunpowder plot 2 years previously. So ambition makes Macbeth devilish and a tyrant. And then my final quotation, Macduff, the hero of the play. Okay, he gets his revenge and it creates catharsis at the end. We feel cleansed because Macduff does the killing. Turn hellhound. This sense that there's nothing human about Macbeth at the end of the text. Just remember for me, a hound is something animalistic and non-specific. Okay, it could be anything. Macduff, this symbol of pure godliness and goodness, sees him as a hellhound. Okay, to a pious nation, he's the worst thing that could be thought of. And basically that's what ambition's done to him, hasn't it? It's taken him from this hero, this kind of noble Macbeth, this valiant cousin, into a hellhound. And Shakespeare uses this text to tell the dangers of ambition. All really important quotations that you could use in more questions than this, but go back over the video, pause, have a look, really important quotations.